think that started, at least a ground level of you going off and doing these other things, your increased connection with men from the stories we were telling earlier from, that was not your forte. And then now I see you running the outward bound stuff, the hiking trips, the whitewater rafting 825 through Gratitude Foundation.
Whitewater tubing.
Whitewater tubing, all those things that you do, being married. I mean,
It has all stemmed from our relationship, for sure.
No, I don't know if it's from our relationship, but from your relationship with...
Well, let me tell you this. I mean, the conversation that you and I had about having kids, without a doubt, changed my perspective. And I'll tell that story really quick because, when my now wife and I were talking about continuing our relationship, she decided that she wanted to have kids. And that was not how our relationship started. And so for me, it was like this shock to the system. And I talked to a number of people in my network. I talked to my sponsor and my close friends and my parents even. And when I had the conversation with you, you let me give my whole spiel. And it was like something I had said for basically my whole adult life. It was like this, practice concert, of rage that I would give. And Bill looks at me at the end and he goes, just, one more thing. When you talk about this, you don't sound like yourself. Yeah. It's like a different person. And I left.
It wasn't the person I knew. It was that practice thing that you were, the way you were looking at that was, I just believed was the most closed-minded, ridiculous thing. And I knew you, and I hadn't seen that in you before, so I didn't even recognize, and
and it was so ingrained, right? The beliefs and the those neural pathways and those things that we tell ourselves.
I mean, you're also dead wrong because I had been a father. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I mean, if I can, one of the things you said is like people have babies, so they can have little mini them that they can dress up to be like. I said, what in the are you talking about? It's got nothing to do with it. You know what I mean? Yeah. Maybe a little bit to do with it, but it's
People like to have something to name. That's what.
Whatever.
Too, yeah.
But
I could probably still give the speech actually if I was, because it was so ingrained in the stories that I told myself. Yeah. And really, we are a big result of the stories that we tell ourselves on a regular basis. And thank God that you gave me some insight and I went home that night and here's the thing, from our relationship over these years, when you tell me something, I however I react in person, and sometimes it's very little. I might not give you as much reaction, but when I get home, I think deeply about the input that you have on every topic because of how I know the results from your life have been, right? You have such a high standing, and there is just an intuition, there is a knowing within you that you allow to come out when you're helping other people, and it's very special. And I want to say too, so as a transition, being the leader of the house, what some people call a house manager.
Director of operations.
Director of operations for the house. It is such a nuanced, it's such a special relationship, and it's a very difficult, complex relationship to have because you are sort of like a referee. You sort of are the connection, and you're sort of a spiritual guidance counselor, and you're sort of like the disciplinarian, and you're like, there's so many parts to that role, which I think we've done a good job of also dividing up over the years, and but it's so complex. And what you did best was connect with the men. You had a genuine desire to be there, which is not the same as some houses where, like you kind of alluded to, it's like, the guy who's been there the longest, he's the house manager. That's he may or may not even really be.
You order the toilet paper.
And that happens so often. That is not the same thing as what we build at Tradition House. It is not the same thing as what Gratitude Foundation does, really, because of your role at any of the other houses.
Well, segue into that, that's why I call it a house of recovery, not even a recovery house. That's why I hate the term house manager, because I always believe you speak of something with a higher reverence, and it becomes that. And
do you want me to remove baby cat?
Baby cat's fine. So I still believe that. I still believe there's places in my life that I talk about things. I just change the language that I use. Yeah. You know what I mean? And
how you tell that story matters. Yeah, for sure.
Exactly.
Yeah. So this is Baby Cat. Baby Cat loves men. She doesn't love women for some reason. She's very sexist. So that's why she'll come up and be your best friend. When women come over to the house,
Well, we were
she's
just
less
saying, we
than
were just
friendly.
telling good Uncle Martin stories, so she was like,
Yeah.
yeah. Before we segue, because I know you're about
Okay.
to segue from the child thing too. I had more insight, and the fact is, as I said earlier, that we're that house is a training ground for relationships. Everything. You're about to be a father, and if you don't think I've realized that when I said that, you were closed-minded, but you didn't really know. You know now.
Yeah.
You know what it is to talk to somebody, and have them hear you, or to feel like you're a positive influence in their life, and to see them achieve things.
Yeah.
To see them get happy in spite of things, or it's very much like that. So you've come to a place where everything you've done is preparing you for what's next, and that's kind of all of us.
Yeah.
And I'm a big believer in that. Whatever's here in my life today, good, bad, indifferent, is preparing me for what's next. If I keep it in a proper perspective, it's
My baby cat.
can I be happy on a day when it's raining?